warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Citra Amalia from class E. Now, I will present my final material which discusses a novel entitled The Great Gatsby. Author F. Scott Fitzgerald, cover artist Francis Jugat, country United States, language English, genre tragedy, published April 10, 1925, publisher Charles Scribner's Sons, media type, print or hardcover and paperback. The Great Gatsby is a novel written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, American author, first published on April 10, 1925. This story is set in New York and Long Island during the summer of 1922. F. Scott Fitzgerald biography. Born September 24, 1896, Saint Paul, Minnesota, United States. Died December 21, 1940, Los Angeles, California, US. Cause of death, heart attack. Height, 1.74 meter. Spouse, Zelda Fitzgerald, 1920 until 1940. Partner, Sheila Graham. Children, Francis Scott Fitzgerald. Parents, Edward Fitzgerald and Mary McQuillan. Education, Princeton University. Important works, The Great Gatsby, The Serious Case of Benjamin Button, and The Last Time I Saw Paris. His other works, The Great Gatsby, Tender is the Night, This Side of Paradise, The Serious Case of Benjamin Button, a short story, The Beautiful and Damned, The Last Tycoon, The Diamond as Big as the Ritz, Tales of the Jazz Age, The Crack Up, Winter Dreams, Flappers and Philosophers. Personal life history of F. Scott Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald, full Francis Scott K. Fitzgerald, born September 24, 1896, St. Paul, Minnesota, USA, died December 21, 1940, Hollywood, California. American short story writer and novelist best known for his portrayal of the Jazz Age in 1920. His most brilliant novel was The Great Gatsby in 1925. His personal life, with that of his wife, Zelda, in America and French, is almost as well known as his novels. Fitzgerald was the only son of an unsuccessful aristocratic father and an energetic provincial mother. Part of the time he thinks of himself as heir to his father's traditions, including author of The Star-Spangled Banner, Francis Scott Key, after whom he is named, and part of the time as 1,850 outright Irish potato famine. As a result, he had an ambivalent American feeling about American life, which he found as vulgar as it was promising. He also had a highly romantic imagination, which he once called a heightened sensitivity to the premises of life, and he demanded experience to deliver on those promises. Both at Estes Academy he became a prominent figure in the university's literary and forged lifelong friendships with Edmund Wilson and John Peel Bishop. He became a prominent figure in the socially important Triangle Club, a dramatic society, and was elected to one of the He fell in love with Ginevra King, one of the beauties of his generation. Then he lost Ginevra and flunked out of the Princeton. He returned to Princeton the following fall, but now he has lost all his coveted position, and by November 1917, he left to join the army. In July 1918, while he was stationed near Montgomery, Alabama, he met Zelda Sayre. The the daughter of an Alabama Supreme Court judge. They fell in love, and as soon as possible, Fitzgerald headed for New York determined to achieve instant success and marry Zelda. What he achieved was an advertising job for $90 a month. Zelda broke off their engagement, and having drunk heavily, Fitzgerald retired to St. Louis, Minnesota, to rewrite a second time the novel he started in Princeton. In the spring of 1920, it was published. He married Zelda, and this paradise site was an expression of the new morality of youth. It made Fitzgerald famous. This fame opened up for him literary prestige magazines such as Scribner and well-paid popular ones such as the Saturday Evening Post. This sudden affluence allowed him and Zelda to play the roles they were so beautifully prepared for, and Ring Lerner called them the prince and princess of their generation. Although they loved these roles, they also feared them as sound at the end of Fitzgerald's second novel, The Beautiful Ending, in 1922. The Beautiful Ending depicts a handsome young man and his beautiful wife who gradually decline into middle age while waiting for the young man to inherit a larger fortune. Ironically, they finally got it when there was nothing left to defend. To escape the life they feared would lead them to school, the Fitzgeralds, along with their daughter Frances Scotty, born in 1921, moved in 1924 to the Riviera, where they become part of a group of expatriates. America, whose style is largely defined by Gerald and Sarah Murphy. Fitzgerald described this society in his last complete novel, Tender is the Night, and modeled his hero on Gerald Murphy. Shortly after their arrival in France, Fitzgerald completed his most brilliant novel, The Great Gatsby. Story synopsis. Inspiring 1922, Nick Carraway, a Yale alumnus from the Midwest and a World War I veteran, journeys to New York City to obtain employment as a bond salesman. He rents a bungalow in the Long Island village of West Egg, next to a luxurious estate inhabited by J. Gatsby, an enigmatic multimillionaire who has dazzling soirees yet doesn't partake in them. One evening, he dines with a distant cousin, Daisy Buchanan, in the fashionable town of the East Egg. Daisy is married to Tom Buchanan, formerly a Yale football star whom Nick knew during his college days. The couple has suddenly relocated from Chicago to a mansion directly across the bay from Gatsby Estate. There, Nick encounters Jordan Baker, an insolent flapper and golf champion who is a childhood friend of Daisy's. Jordan confides to Nick that Tom keeps a mistress, Myrtle Wilson, who brazenly telephones him at his home and who lives in the Valley of Hashish. As Sperling refused Dom that evening, Nick sees Gatsby standing alone on his lawn, staring at a green light across the bay. Days later, Nick reluctantly accompanies a drunken and agitated Tom to New York City by train. En route, they stop at a garage inhabited by mechanic George Wilson and his wife Myrtle. Myrtle joins them, and the trio proceed to a small New York apartment that Tom has rented for tryst with her. Guests arrive and a party ensues, which ends with Tom slapping Myrtle and breaking her nose after he mentions Daisy. One morning, Nick receives a formal invitation to a party at Gatsby's mansion. Once there, Nick is embarrassed that he recognized no one and begins drinking heavily until he encounters Jordan. While chatting with her, he is approached by a man who introduces himself as Jay Gatsby and insists that both he and Nick served in the 3rd Infantry Division during the war. Gatsby attempts to ingratiate himself with Nick, and when Nick leaves the party, he notices Gatsby watching him. About similarity and difference. In similarity, Fitzgerald linked Gatsby's dream, his platonic conception of himself, to that of American inventors. In the difference, his work tells a happy ending while F. Scott Fitzgerald's personal life is very messy. Analysis story. The Great Gatsby is an American classic. Throughout the story, Gatsby remains mysterious. His friends nickname finds him funny. This is the end as Gatsby reveals his past and his honey self. She mentioned her composure and grace until the very end when she becomes vulnerable. Nick described him as one of a kind. Bold and optimistic, she believes she can reach any fantasy world she wants. Daisy is the queen of his fantasy world. Society binds us through restriction and regulation. We sometimes fail to accept the truth and our existence faces challenges. This book highlights the bridge between love and reality. Character 1. Jay Gatsby. 2. Myrtle Wilson. 3. Thomas atau Tom Buchanan. 4. Nick Carraway. 5. Daisy Buchanan. And 6. George B. Wilson. Message in the novel. The Great Gatsby is a story about the impossibility of recapturing the past and the difficulty of changing one's future. The love story in his novel is unusual from the start. Gatsby the pauper and Daisy the rich man. Starting from a love that was so passionate, it proved that Gatsby's love was not just at the beginning. Even after 5 years, Gatsby's love has not diminished in the slightest. Even though they have been separated for so long, it has not made those feelings fade even a little. Fitzgerald is really good at turning things around because after 5 years, Gatsby is here as arrangement to get his idol.